So, what's your name?
My name's David Ball, and yeah.
What are you doing here? Are you a helper?
Yes, I'm one of the helpers for the hackathon. Just going around all the teams and seeing if they've got a problem, and walking away when everything looks good. So yeah.
I see. Are you working for a particular company, or?
I'm not working for a particular company. I've just been doing my master's degree here at the University of Glasgow, and as just a way to give something back, I've decided to turn up and help people out.
So what motivates you? What made you come?
Just like the passion in general at hackathons. Everybody's so motivated, and unlike in business, people tend to focus like on the cutting edge stuff as well. It's all kind of experimental, so it's a really good atmosphere, and it's great opportunities to get to know people and network.
I see. So I take it you've done some hackathons before as well?
Actually, this is the first hackathon that I've helped at, and I've actually not participated in a hackathon before.
So how did you find it?
It's like every time you've worked in a small group or a team, but much massive, more teams, more people, more ideas. It's intense, but it's good. Yeah,
it's good. So what have you been helping with? What did you?
Well, it's early days at this hackathon, but I helped one of the teams over there get their Apache web server up and running. So just a small gain, but it helps get our university closer to the grand prize, I guess.
It does, definitely. So do you think the small technical issues like Apache servers or particular pieces of technology are actual problems, or is it like general vision or ideas? What's difficult?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, sometimes you've got people who have gone really far with the technical stuff, but they've not spent enough time on vision, and sometimes it's the other way around. The technical problems are interesting, you can get them done, but the vision ones, they're pretty cool. And sometimes you just need to talk to people about what they're working on, and then they make that breakthrough. So you don't need to be an expert to help out.
I see. What do you think makes people actually take part in hackathons? What's their motivation for spending 2 sleepless nights trying to hack something up?
I'd tell you to ask these guys, but honestly, I think it's just the team spirit and the chance to work on something new. I think when you work on a team, you sort of grow more as an individual, and yeah, I think programmers naturally like to have caffeine in their bloodstream, so that probably helps.
So what do you think defines a programmer? What do you think makes programmers apart from other?
Somebody who really likes problem solving. Someone who can just get stuck into something and see it through to the end.
It's about focus, you'd say.
Definitely about focus, but it helps to be able to think in other directions, to other fields.
Creativity as well.
Yeah, it's a marriage of creativity and technical skill. Yeah, absolutely.
I see. What's more important?
Depends on your project and depends on you as a person. Maybe you're a guy who really likes to work on, just straight up algorithms, or maybe you're somebody who's in charge of the whole design of an application. It's whoever you are, there's probably a place for you in programming.
I see. So you've mentioned before that unlike big companies, hackathons tend to work on really cutting edge stuff. Have you worked for a big company before, or?
Yeah, I worked for a company in the past called iWise2, and helped do a learning management system for them, which is kind of like the modern day Coursera and stuff like that. And in the past, I started my own company doing web development and a few other things. And yeah, generally speaking, the commercial market goes for things that are tried and true, like really well tested ideas. Here, it's like the moonshot stuff. What if we can track people's positions around campus and target advertising to them, and crazy stuff with like development hardware like the Oculus Rift, stuff that's just not being applied commercially. And of course, it's much more interesting in a hackathon. Yeah.
I see. So given that you've got a lot of background, you've started your own company, you've worked for I take it, a big company, also doing in software as well. You're doing your master's degree now. What do you think is most suitable for yourself? What do you think are pros and cons of working in either type of business?
Oh, right. Well, the pros of starting a startup are obviously like you own the ship, you sail the ship, and it goes wherever you want.
So how did that go?
It went well. I was able to actually sell the company, which is really good, which is one of the reasons I'm here. And I just really wanted to get more into the interesting stuff, which is why I did my master's in computer science, because I was working on web development, and it's a great industry, but just wasn't maybe for me, especially because I could sell the company. So
yeah, I see.
It was quite a good.
So do you want to dive into low-level stuff now, or do you want to dive into research?
Research is my sort of main aim. So I've been getting to grips with machine learning and information retrieval this past semester. So it's been really interesting. Yeah.
So why machine learning?
Why machine learning? Just because it's quite new technology, and you can take a set of data that you may not understand how it came to be, and you can figure out relationships with that data. I mean, we even predict future things like house prices, or any different thing. It's one of those skills that can be applied to different industries and different problems.
Versatility then.
Yeah, quite versatile. Yeah.
So, do you think machine learning is interesting also from a business point of view, or is it just science you're interested in?
I think machine learning is very interesting from the business point of view, because quite often you'll hear the term big data thrown around, that companies have so much data that they don't know what to do with it, and quite often the data doesn't really make sense. Machine learning can basically take the data, this huge amount of data, and learn a relationship or categorize it in a way that a human wouldn't be able to do, because there's so much data. And so you can have an algorithm that can potentially try and predict future events. And I think some guys try to apply it to the stock market with varying degrees of success. So that just kind of shows you the potential in machine learning for commercial applications. But
so have you heard of any recent successes of machine data? Have you got any ideas you'd like to work on in particular, or is it just the topic that interests you?
One of the most interesting things that I've seen done with machine learning is they taught a robot how to catch a ball, but actually the robot really taught itself how, just by flailing its arm around, and it had a success condition if it can catch the ball. And in many attempts, it was kind of like watching a child learn to walk. Fall over. Oh, that worked a bit better that time. That different approach I used, and they try that approach and then do variations, and eventually the robot arm could learn to catch the ball better than most humans could. It was fascinating, and yeah.
So supervised learning.
Supervised learning, yeah.
How far do you think we can take it? What do you think we'll stop at, and what do you think is the future of machine learning?
That's a big question. I think the future of machine learning is figuring out how to apply it to these larger, more complex issues, and just investigating where it can be taken, because I don't think there's much understanding of where the limits are. But yeah, maybe androids, let's say. I guess that would be nice.
So you were talking about catching a ball. As impressive as it is, it's not really much of creative work, is it? It's a very simple physical sort of movement. Do you think we can actually make machines become a little bit more creative? Do you think it's actually possible to make a machine do something which would surprise us with being quite smart?
Yeah, I think machines are already showing us things that are quite smart and impressive. I recently saw a demonstration of a machine learning algorithm to play old video games written for the Commodore 64, and the programmer just told it what it meant to win, how to get one score, and the rest of the work was kind of left up to the computer, and it could just read the pixels from the screen. And
that's against supervised learning, isn't it?
That is.
really think
That's unsupervised learnings. So the computer comes up with its own moves and own ideas. And I think in the game of Breakout, it learned to play better than a human and put the ball behind the array of blocks that you get in that game and kind of exploit the game. We actually saw that the programs were exploiting weaknesses in the game. So, you know, there may be sort of criticisms as to the limits of this stuff, but it was surprising. People, you know, weren't expecting the computer to exploit the games and actually cheat and find things that even the game creators didn't know were there. So they are effective and surprising.
I see. So when you write code, what are your feelings most of the time? Is it a lot of frustration?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. And then.
So how do you deal with that?
You know, sometimes you take a break, sometimes you work through it. There's always elation somewhere in it, you know, when you finally solve the problem.
So what's usually the problem? What usually breaks? What usually makes the task difficult?
More and more these days, especially I've noticed that with people in hackathons, is it's just getting things set up, installing software, and sometimes the software that you've got conflicts with another part of the system, and yeah, managing that can be annoying at the beginning of the project. The rest of the time it's just standard bugs and errors and missing semicolons.
Is it mistakes resolving which requires a lot of creativity, or is it mistakes resolving which would be relatively easy to automate? Is most of your job actually creative, or is most of it, as you said?
I would say too much of my job is resolving things that software could have fixed for me. You know, like compatibility issues with software and versions and your operating system, and yeah, that's annoying. I'm thinking, you know, why isn't this handled for me? There's a lot of things like that, and I think that's like a really big problem with programming where we are right now. So, there's still quite a lot of stuff in the way of development, and then sometimes it's about creativity, and you figure out your whole architecture for your application was wrong, and you have to go back to the drawing board, and yeah, but
I see.
Yeah.
So it's both small and big mistakes.
Yeah.
It's involved. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're going to have a good time helping people out.
Yeah, hope so.
Should be good.
Right. Okay. Thanks a lot.